these things queued up, and then, because they got to sell you something. They're always trying to sell you something because they can't sell anything in the real world. They're constantly cramming this media down your throat. I found the offender. I just killed it, though. Why is it still playing? See, that's the other reason, too. I'm waiting for a new sound mixer. Miss Sandy told me that I can get our new mixer so we can have a little bit more control of the audio and some of the feeds and stuff that we do around here. But we have to be responsible. We got to pay our bills, right? Once our bills are paid, then I can get my new mixer. And you guys will know when it's coming because you'll hear the difference. We'll be able to have a bunch of different audio things going on. But getting back to Miss Jan Morgan, after we filed that browser into the recycling bin here, she tears into the Arkansas legislature as they're hearing arguments on this law, SB 724. And this audio clip pretty much explains it all.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I just left the governor's office where I confronted him. His senior staff is as far as I could get on such short notice, but I appreciate the fact that I was able to see a senior staff person. Because every week I am on Fox News nationally having to debate anti-gun radicals. The last place in the world I expected to have to show up and debate is my own state capital in my home state of Arkansas, and of all people, Republicans. You see, I was just upstairs, and I noticed upstairs you have this big poster that says, "Know Your Rights." And guess what was at the top? The right to keep and bear arms. And yet here I am, standing before a majority of Republicans, having to beg and plead for you to please not further restrict our right to self-defense, folks. The reason I went to the governor's office is because I've been up here now for 2 weeks, on and off. 2 weeks. And every turn, I hear rumblings of, this is from fellow Republicans. When I confront my fellow Republicans and say, "Excuse me, you're a Republican. Have you forgotten the platform you're supposed to be representing? We are pro-gun rights people." And every Republican that I have confronted and said, "Why? What are you thinking? Why are you doing this? Why are we having to fight you on gun rights?" You know what I heard over and over again? Well, the governor. So I went to the governor's office today to ask him point blank, "Look, sir, if you are anti-gun, if you are anti-Second Amendment, then why don't you just face up to the people and admit it instead of asking your legislators to do your dirty work for you?" Because let me tell you something, folks. The governor may have your back here, but I think when you have to go back and face the voters, the people who put you in these seats today, you're going to find out that the governor can't vote for them. What has the electorate said about how sick and tired we are in this state of politically correct, political, dirty games? Donald Trump won by a landslide. And let me tell you, even the all-powerful GOP could not save their establishment Republicans who have been doing their dirty work. Donald Trump won. That should speak volumes to you that your electorate is fed up. We are fed up, people. You are not here to do the will of Governor Asa Hutchinson. You are not here to do the will of your personal inclination on this because maybe you have kids in college who are irresponsible, who drink too much and party too much, and you don't want them to have a gun. Well, let me tell you how I feel about that, Jeremy Hutchinson. You tell your son, you be a parent, you tell him, "Son, you don't need a gun, but don't you restrict the gun rights of my daughter." This is my daughter. Guess what? I'm an Arkansas resident. My daughter took the concealed handgun licensing class. My daughter is well armed and well trained. Her dream was to attend University of Arkansas, Fayetteville. Guess what? My daughter is going to a Texas university where her gun rights are not restricted, where she doesn't have to walk around on campus a defenseless victim waiting to happen. Let me tell you something, folks. The governor may have your back here in Little Rock, but he cannot save you from the wrath of an enraged electorate who you will certainly have to answer to. You are a Republican. We have the majority here. We shouldn't be here discussing gun rights issues. This should be a no-brainer. We will not forget this. You vote in support of this amendment in 724, I am going to be your worst nightmare in your district, because I'm going to make sure we're doing a roll call vote on this today, and I'm going to make sure that your constituents know who voted.
Mr. Speaker, what's your point?
In support or against this bill.
The guest is threatening the members instead of actually speaking.
Oh, no, sir. No, sir. This is not a threat. No, sir. This is not a threat. This is a...
No, sir. Clap. Jan Warrior. This is not a threat. This is a promise. This is a promise. See, that's why they don't want, look, I am for equal rights, real equal rights. I am for women who stand up and speak their mind. I am all for it. I'm 100% for it. Good job, Jan. Thank you for standing up for Arkansas's Second Amendment rights and getting in there and everything. Yeah, no, that toward she's threatening. She's threatening us. She's threatening. Yeah, you're damn right. She's threatening you guys. And let this be a warning. I don't think you guys have figured it out yet. I know the Dems haven't figured it out at all. But you Republicans, you GOP members, with the election of Donald Trump, that was a shot across the bow from the American people. A lot of media out there will try to discount the election of Donald Trump and say, oh, Hillary Clinton did this or she did that or she had that. No. It had more to do with the fact that we in middle America are just pissed off. We're pissed off. There's no other words. Like I said, you're not going to get political correctness here from me. It ain't going to happen. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. I'm going to try not to use the 7 deadly words for radio when I do it. Try not to cuss anyways. Swear. When you swear, that means you don't have a good grasp of the English language. That's what it means when people swear a lot. That's what it means. They're filler words. Swear words are filler words. Like in the radio where we do and and so I'm guilty of that. But swear words are filler words. You couldn't find a word to replace that word. But good job. Good job, Jan, for standing up for Second Amendment rights. You're never going to hear me argue differently, ever. The day I do, I've lost my mind. I have. Put me in a loony bin. Put me in a loony bin. I am an advocate of the Second Amendment, and I always will be. I believe that strongly in it. The only reason why we are free still to this day is the fact that we do have gun owners in this country. Let's face it. Our government every day is trying to erode those freedoms in which our fathers, grandfathers, uncles, aunts, grandmothers have fought for. The greatest generation, right? The greatest generation. The same rights that allow the snowflakes to burn flags and to cause riots and all those things. It's the same group of people that allowed you to do that. I've always said, how's your English? Is it better than German? Japanese? Yeah. Good. Because if it wasn't for the greatest generation, we would be speaking one of those two languages. Talk about those languages. The Man in the High Castle. You guys ever watch that? Netflix? I watched last year's series. I haven't got into this year's series of it. But it's a hypothetical. by Robert K. Dick. It's actually based on a book that Robert K. Dick did. And for those that don't know, he wrote several books, but the one that he's really known for is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, which was turned into a movie that the main character is played by Harrison Ford, which is called Blade Runner, right? But he wrote a novel called Man in High Castle, and it's basically a hypothetical what happened if Germany and Japan actually won the war. And pretty scary stuff. Pretty scary stuff. And I'm telling you, an armed society is definitely a polite society. You don't hear about, here in the state of Florida, you know, we have concealed carry, and we have some crazy people here. But I'll tell you, people are polite. The other thing, though, is that we also have a mandatory sentencing. If you ever commit a crime with a gun, it's a mandatory sentence, period, end of story, no discussions. You know, right now, you talk about the state of Florida, our governor is fighting one of the attorney general. We had this cop killer. Well, before this guy was a cop killer, not our attorney general, the governor, but we had this knucklehead here in the state of Florida who decided to kill his wife or his girlfriend and their pregnant child, right? And so while he was on the run, on the lam, in the wind, he was confronted by a police officer who noticed him, recognized him, because this guy was, running from the law. And she approached him and to apprehend him, and he pulled a gun and killed her on the spot. And then on top of that, not only did he shoot her, he shot her, but he stood over her body and pumped a couple more rounds in her body for good measure. And then another officer who was going to her aid when the call went out was on a motorcycle. He got hit by a car and was killed on his way to assist a fallen officer. Well, needless to say, this scumbag, they finally caught him. And now he is facing trial. Well, and I think it's racism. I actually do. I think it's reverse racism. Let me give you a little backstory here. The attorney general or the state's attorney who was put onto the case, who's also African-American and everything, has decided, and let me tell you why I think it's a race thing. You got the NAACP now involved, right? What are they all about? Race relations. And I'm you're hearing this. The fact that she's black, they're NCAA, we're going to get involved and we're going to make this a race issue. It wasn't a race issue. It was a legal issue at first, but now it's a race issue. I'm going to tell you that because when the NCAA got involved, they turned it into a race issue. You got a white governor, Governor Scott, going after this state's attorney. He removed her from the case. And the reason why he removed her from the case is because she does not believe in the death penalty. Now, if anybody was to get the switch thrown, it would be this jerk off. He deserves it. Killed his wife, their unborn child, shot a police officer, stood over the police officer's body and proceeded to pump a few more rounds in her body just for good measure. Tell me, does this guy deserve to live any longer? Does he need to be breathing any air? Now, some would say that putting him in prison the rest of his life would be a good thing. Well, yeah, it would be if that prison included a sledgehammer and a bunch of rocks that you had to turn into little stones. Yeah, I could see that. But in today's day and age, prisons are nothing more than resorts for these common criminals. For some people, it's probably a step up. They're guaranteed meals, they're guaranteed TV, entertainment, weightlifting, and all sorts of other perversions. So the thing is that, this scumbag if anybody deserves the death penalty, it'd be this fool. And in the state of Florida, we have the death penalty. The people, the voters, the constituents have voted. And so the governor rightfully